Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic. What's your creepiest glitch in the Matrix or unexplainable thing that's ever happened to you? Taking the trash out at night, super remote area, so I know for a fact we're the only ones around here. Getting close to the road and I hear very clearly "help me" from a female voice. Even knowing there's such a slim chance of there being another living person around, I still feel like I should look around and check it out in case I wasn't just hearing things and someone actually needs help. Take about 2 steps in the direction I thought I heard it, hear a giggle in the same exact voice, turn around and walk promptly back up the driveway because fuck that shit. Anyone who actually needed help wouldn't be laughing, I don't think. Edit, this comment is potentially disturbing. For a better time, skip it and head over to r/or/. When I was a child, my sister and I were walking home from the park and a man called help. We found an open manhole and could hear the man calling for help, but we could not see him. I was 9 and panicking thought we should crawl in to help. My sister, 11, had the good instinct to get our parents. When we came back with them, the man was gone. As an adult I can see the whole thing was a ploy, the manhole right next to the park. It makes complete sense but is still so creepy. You almost got fucking paywised. Top level child predator shit. Gonna be tough to get that out of my mind. Similar experience, walking home in a residential neighborhood at night. I was 14 at the time and this car is driving behind me very slowly, too slowly. It pulls over about 5 feet ahead of me and stops. Alarm bells were already ringing at that time and I book it home. Just pure adrenaline, I burst through the front door, hyperventilating, managed to get out. What happened to my dad, who takes off sprinting down the street. Sure enough, dad finds the car and is like, "What's going on, man?" The guy laughs and says his car died. He must have really scared me for me to run like that. Hardy ho. Good laugh at my expense. Dad says, "I'll be right back, I'll jump you." Dad goes back literally under 2 minutes. This was maybe 1.5 football fields away from my house, but not a straight shot, and guy isn't there. Well, guess who's laughing now? No one, because it was terrifying. Edit, grammar. My bad. Oh fuck that, good instinct. Help, she whispers softly, gently. All despairing. All intently. Full of fear and small surrender. Hushed and muted. Faint and tender. Help, she whispers softly, sweetly. All serenely. All completely. Full of grins and glee, beguiling. Alluring, tempting. Coaxing, smiling. Help, she whispers softly, nearer. Nearing, creeping, closer, clearer. Eyes inside the darkness gleaming. Glinting. Crawling. Laughing. Screaming. I was working on my motorcycle in a dirt lot where I had crashed it trying to do a sick drift, breaking off the clutch lever and the gear shifter. I had brought a wrench set with me and I was using one of them to take off a bolt when I put it down on the ground to finish unscrewing the bolt with my hand. 2 minutes later I went to pick it back up and it was gone. I ran all around this dirt lot looking for it to no avail. Luckily I had a spare in the car. Fixed the bike and drove back to my apartment to shower as I was filthy. I walked in my room and sitting on my desk was the wrench. I was dumbfounded. 10 millimeters. That happens all the time. Is this a phenomenon I haven't heard about? Gave me fucky chills because I have a set in the garage hanging on the wall missing only the 10 millimeters. This reminds me of when I was in dance as a little girl. I remember throwing my dance shoe over my shoulder as I was getting ready in my room. When I turned around to grab it I couldn't find it anywhere. My mom and I searched for 10 minutes before we decided to leave without the shoe so we wouldn't be too late to practice. We found the slipper in my winter boot by the porch just as we were leaving, which was across the house from where I was when I tossed my slipper. I once clocked out of work at 6 p.m., like I always did at the time, and began my hour-long train ride home. After I had found a seat, I went to sleep and woke up just before my station. From the station, it is a short bus journey, 10 to 15 minutes, to reach home. During the entire journey, I didn't use my phone and I don't wear a watch so I didn't really notice the time anywhere. When I reached home, my family surprised me with "You're home early, everything all right?" I look at the wall clock and it is about to be 6 p.m. I was too shocked to understand what happened. Checked other watches, cell phones etc. and the time is absolutely right. A few days later, the admin emailed us the timesheets for the month, times clocking in and out, and every single days for me was around the same 6 p.m. So it certainly wasn't me having left work earlier. To this date, I haven't figured out how I gained between 60 to 80 minutes that day. Edit 1, well. Thank you for the pirate silver mateys. This is most popular comment ever. Gained an hour, or so, and some karma to go with it. Edit 2, the most common theory in comments seems to be the DST, and I have considered it before. The problem is that it should work for both time in and time out, and if I remember the time in was the same as always and I didn't leave my home early for work. If I remember right, it also wasn't a Monday, which is when the clock reset effects come through at work despite the changes going in on Sunday. Someone else is trying to figure out how they lost 60 to 80 minutes. I remember reading somewhere, Alvin Schwartz, maybe. A short story about that, many years ago. I thought it was so freaky cool and eerie. A guy receives a phone call from a man he doesn't recognize. The caller asks if he may have a minute of the guy's time, and the guy says sure. The caller thanks the man and hangs up. Just then the guy felt a little older. Edit, credit to you /Fox-like ethic for having a better memory than me. Bruce Cavill's Book of Nightmares, the story is told call by Michael Mansfield. https://www.goodreads.com/book/show. Edit 2, in the story, the caller asks for 10 minutes. My apologies. So all the trolls messaging about not noticing a minute can keep it to yourself and find something better to do. I've told this story before and could go into a ton of detail, but here's the short version. I am 100% sure I vividly remember a dog that apparently doesn't exist. When I was 16 we lived on the other side of the province and my uncle had this little Jack Russell named Crew. Crew went missing for several months and then turned up at a humane society over an hour away, and we were all shocked this little dog has made it so far. Anyway, that was almost 20 years ago, and the other day I was talking to my parents and was like, whenever I hear about Jack Russells I think about Crew and that stunt he pulled, and they had no idea what I was talking about. Insisted my uncle had never had such a dog, I must have dreamed it, etc. Honestly, anyone else who would have remembered this dog has been dead for a long time, and I don't even have any pictures of my uncle. I have absolutely no way to prove this dog existed, but I'm sure that he did. They may have just forgotten. My parents are like this as well. Not that long ago I was telling them about a letter I had written to my dad while he was away a few years ago. They both insisted I must have dreamt it, but I found it not long after. Sometimes people can be forgetful, it doesn't necessarily mean Crew didn't exist. Very true, it was a chaotic time. My uncle passed away very unexpectedly shortly before we moved and everything felt like a whirlwind. I still wish I could prove or disprove the existence of this dog because I remember him so vividly and my family does not. Not even my brothers, though they were much younger and don't remember much about that time at all. My ex-wife and I were sleeping. There was a small sliver of light coming in through the window from a street light, so the room and bed were dimly visible. Our black Pomeranian was at the end of the bed asleep. I dreamt that I woke up, reached down to pet him, and he turned into a glossy black bivalve /oyster thing which opened up to reveal rows of gleaming glass teeth. I woke up to my ex backpedaling up the bed over the pillows towards the wall. I asked what's wrong. She said, what is that shiny black clam thing with the teeth at the end of the bed? Where's the dog? We had had the same nightmare at the same time. This still gives me a chill. Sorry that your dog was haunted. That's actually a requirement for Pomeranians. I was driving about 50 miles per hour, and a car ran a stop sign on an on-ramp and pulled out right in front of me. I remember bracing for impact, and then I was about 300 yards down the highway and I saw the car at the ramp in my rear view, just about to pull out. As someone who just watched all the Final Destination movies, I can confidently say that you're going to die. As somebody who hasn't seen any Final Destination movies, I can confidently say, they are going to die. Edit, hey my first silver. Thank you to whoever did that. You died on the spot and your mind is living an alternate timeline. Aka quantum immortality. I was driving during a snowstorm when a police car started driving next to me, lights on, no sirens. I looked at the officers but they didn't look at me, they had a weird look on their face. Something was off. They accelerated just a little to pass me and then completely disappeared. I drove maybe 15 minutes on the road without seeing them anywhere. They couldn't have gone really far, the road's conditions were terrible. I was creeped out for a long time. I was walking my dog and I was almost to the driveway when I looked down for some reason and I looked back up and I ended up being back at the road about 6 blocks away from where I thought I was. I was so confused, but my dog looked completely fine. FYI, I don't drink or do drugs, I'm still pretty young. Maybe you had a transient ischemic attack that caused a gap in your memory. Edit. Boy, that escalated quickly. I am 99% convinced this happened to me as a teenager and no one believes me. A friend and I both worked Wednesday mornings at the same time, different places, so I would pick her up and drop her off, then go to my work. One day I got to her house, and I remember thinking that I need to call her to let her know I'm here, but all of a sudden the phone call is there minutes in and she's just saying my name over and over asking why I'm just sitting there. I remember feeling weak, and my arm holding my phone, left-handed, was so hard to pick up to my ear. Apparently I called her, then just blanked out. She saw from the window, answered me call, and kept asking if I was okay because I just sat there in my car like a deer in headlights. To this day I have no idea what possessed me to just lapse 5 minutes in time, but it's never happened again in my life. 6 blocks, that's freaky. If it was just a few meters I probably would chop it up to not paying attention or something, but that's intense. Edit, should say chalk it up, but the replies have been so funny about it, I'm going to leave it.